Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, so would everybody please rise? And Councilman Schneider, would you lead us this evening?
Be my honor.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could please remain standing for a moment of silence and observe the sacrifices that our military men and women make, as well as our first responders every day. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Okay, thank you all for being here, and thank you all at home for watching this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Today's date is Wednesday, November 1st, 2017, and tonight's meeting is the Town Board voting meeting. For the record, all Town Board members are present with us this evening, as is our counsel, Greg Fulchetti, all the way down to my left. So the first item on the agenda is a public hearing. The public hearing is on a proposed local law amending Chapter 156-76 of the Town Code of the Town of Carmel entitled Wireless Telecommunication Equipment and Devices. So before we get started, I'm going to ask the Town Clerk, Ann Spofford, to read the notice of the public hearing, please.
Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel will conduct a public hearing at the Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, 10541, on Wednesday, November 1st, 2017, at 7 o'clock p.m., or soon thereafter that evening as possible, on a proposed local law amending Section 156-76 of the Town Code of the Town of Carmel, entitled Wireless Telecommunication Equipment and Devices. Copies of the full text of said law are available in the Town Clerk's office at Town Hall during normal business hours, as well as posted on the Town of Carmel's website at www.carmelny.org. At said public hearing, all interested persons shall be heard on the subject thereof. The Town Board will make every effort to assure that the public hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Anyone requiring special assistance and/or reasonable accommodations should contact the Town Clerk. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, Ann Spofford, Town Clerk.
Okay, very good. Thanks for the notice of the reading of the public hearing. And at this time, I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Schneider, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the public hearing is open at this time. Are there any residents that are with us this evening that would like to come up and comment on the public hearing on the telecommunication devices and the proposed local law that we will be enacting, 156-76. Is there anyone here? Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Joan Lafergie, 950 Route 6. My husband and I own a commercial building, and we are in opposement of this. We understand there's going to be a cell tower 3 feet from our building, right next to a residential apartment that's right above our building. When the pictures were taken originally, from whoever took them and gave them to the town, they were very deceiving. Makes it look like it's much further away. We're doing measurements right now. We measured 3 feet from our building, our residential apartment, from our building to where they want to put the cell tower right next to mine. My building.
This public hearing is to change the code to regulate.
I understand that. I just want to make.
But if there's something right now that's being constructed, that would be a planning board issue.
Okay.
We don't have.
I've been calling to try to find out when the next meeting was, and I guess it's going to be put off for a little while. But my husband and I have been very upset about this whole thing. We felt that all of a sudden we had no idea what was going on. We had no idea what was happening.
I totally get what you're saying. Just
It's upsetting.
This forum right now is to
I've been
talk
doing
about
my
the
own
regulation.
research and coming up with a lot of different things that affect people, being so close.
Then we can go through that stuff, because then we might want to
Absolutely.
add that in there. So
Okay, I appreciate it,
on a
and
certain
I
property
thank
that's
you
being
for
constructed,
your acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, that's why I'm here this evening. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no, does she want to?
Yeah,
Miss,
Did
do
you wanna-
do
you wanna-
do you want to go over some of the learnings that you have that you might want to put in this new code? Or do you want to, did you want to just to voice a concern on a certain project that was underway.
She just got it. She just pulled it up.
Realized the meeting was tonight.
Okay.
Yep.
But I do have a lot of documentation pertaining to health.
Problem is, there's documentations on our RF readings, okay? And these towers are putting out heavy water.
No, either you or could come and talk up.
The amount of RF, which is radioactive readings, will be extremely high because it's so close to our building, which is highly unusual. I have someone who could speak, who's going to come to the next meeting, if there's going to be a next meeting on this. I believe that the town doesn't know enough about this.
Remains
So
open, yeah.
we'll keep it open.
And I know it's profitable for the business owner, the building owner. I understand that. It probably helps with the taxes and so on and so forth. But I don't believe this is a good spot for this particular placement.
No, Joan, prior to this, I think maybe Councilman Lupinacci alluded to it, there was no ordinance. It was not part of our
I
town
know.
code. So there
I'm
was no
aware.
regulatory authority from the
Right.
local government municipality to enforce it. So since some of them have, you've been noticing, some of them have been.
I have.
Being constructed on commercial buildings
I have.
along the Route 6 corridor. That's what really, between that and some other applications that we were aware of, kind of was the impetus behind it. The reason
Also,
why we wanna
it concerns me, real estate-wise, I'm a Realtor, and then this does concern me a lot, because if I showed a property to people near power lines even, they would absolutely not. They don't want anything near a power line, they don't want to buy anything in a 5-mile radius from a tower. This is going to affect our town and our property.
Agreed. That's why we did what we did with the code, and we made it as stringent as we did. We put language in here to protect.
I appreciate
community.
that, because they're starting to come like lollipops. They're like going up everywhere. I've spoken to people, the Board of Realtors in Dutchess, as well as White Plains, and it's becoming very alarming. I appreciate the board taking notice of this.
We're being proactive on this. That's why
Thank
we're doing
you.
it.
I do appreciate that.
Sadly, some of the telecommunications structures were installed prior to this,
Yes.
and we have to live with those, all right? But going
aware.
forward, we can restrict them. You know,
I
we can-
appreciate it.
So they would have to
Yes.
adhere to the code
Thank you.
before the planning board would ever consider approving them.
All right.
okay?
Thank you so much.
All
I
right, you're
appreciate
welcome.
it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, is there anyone else on the public hearing for the telecommunications amendments to the code? Come on up at this time. Anyone else? Okay.
What's gonna happen is gonna happen, and it's gonna happen. We have to keep it to the next meeting.
Oh, no, Billy, you're gonna,
Here's one of the biggest problems. Mr. Borelli's been getting away with murder, okay?
well,
Now,
I-
I don't
let's-
care if he's standing there or not,
Billy,
I really
Billy,
don't care.
Billy, I know, but this is a public hearing, not about Mr. Borelli or any of his properties. This is about a code by us adopting
Fine, I'll do
code.
this another time. Matter of fact, I'll be in your office. Be done. I'm out of here.
Okay, is there anyone else regarding the public hearing on the telecommunications code that the board's considering adopting? Okay.
I don't know anything about it, but I just have one question, and to the lady who spoke up. So you said there's a lot that have gone up already, right?
There's been
Right.
some that have.
And
gone up.
hence, we're doing the guidelines going forward. The ones that are in construction now, or are you talking about something that's being constructed right
I don't,
now?
as far as I, where,
Will there be a
where's- where-
halt on
wait,
those
can you just-
until this matter is decided?
Where are you talking about that one is being constructed? Is it being constructed or talked about?
It's proposed in front of the planning board. It's proposed in front of the planning board.
So it's an application before the planning board? Okay, all right, so it's not being
So
built
it's not
right
being
now.
built, it's not being constructed as we speak. It's not. It's an application before the planning board.
Even in the absence of the proposed law.
Right, the
okay?
planning board
There's still a site plan requirement for that particular use. If there's an application or applications before the planning board, that's one thing. Okay, if you enact the law, there's an administrative review and there's special use permits that are going to be required for future structures. And they're broken up. There's actually tower facilities, and then there are building antenna facilities, which are obviously different and of a smaller scale. So, but at this point, there could be applications before the planning board that require site plan just for the installation of the facilities. And when you enact this law, any application that comes in after that is going to be subject to the site plan approval and the provisions of the law, presuming you enact it.
So for those
So-
applications that are in, though, this will not affect them?
If there's a current pending application, they're not subject to the law that's yet to be enacted and filed in the state.
That answers my question, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else?
There is an application at 954 Route 6, I believe. So does that come under?
No, because this isn't law yet. This here is a proposed legislation. So,
Well, I don't think anything should go forward at all. I think it should be stopped right now until this is done, and anything that isn't constructed already should be under this law. I mean, that's terrible. That doesn't make any sense to me. There's nothing up yet. They're just looking at it right now. It should be stopped. This should be under that law. I don't care if they put in paperwork already for it. It's not constructed. It hasn't been approved. So it should be under this.
I'm not familiar with the agenda, but a
Once
moratorium
this
requires
law
a
is
public hearing.
adopted by the board, whenever that is, once
Okay.
the board adopts it, then yes, those applications that are pending before the planning board,
What I'm saying is
Future
nothing should
applications.
be go forward in this town until this is
Future applications.
adopted.
Can I make a suggestion
Nothing.
that you just
Yeah, you wouldn't-
go on the website or call the planning department
I did.
for this particular
Yes, I did.
project? And did they give you a time that it's gonna, a date and time that it's gonna be, before the planning
They
board?
told me it was probably sometime near the holidays, that's what I was told. Like
Okay.
December,
Well,
they
Okay.
have the agendas online, correct?
that's what I just said.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they should.
What I'm saying is, if
I
it's
went on
not,
tonight, I didn't see any agenda.
well, there's no planning
The
board
planning
meeting.
board,
Meeting
'cause there's
tonight.
no planning board meeting.
Well, I looked for ECB, I also looked for
Right.
all the other board
The
meetings.
So just, the planning board meets the second and fourth Wednesday of the month.
Right.
I'm not sure ECB would, this wouldn't fall into ECB, it would fall under planning board.
Planning, and maybe zoning.
And I would definitely check
Zoning, I
the
did.
the second and fourth Wednesdays of each
So
month.
maybe
plan-
you can let me know exactly what's going on.
Why
with
don't you
that
call,
particular
why don't you call the
application.
supervisor's office, and they can,
Yes.
if you can get the agenda.
Ann could tell her.
Okay.
Yeah, you could call.
I just want to
You
clarify.
could call,
I
Joe,
will,
and speak
but-
to Ann, and Ann will be able to tell you
Thank you,
when,
Ann, thank you.
when it's posted on the agenda, because,
Okay.
Or Rose.
or Rose in the planning department.
I
or Dawn.
have, yeah, she said she didn't know what was happening at this point in time. I did speak to her, so
This is probably
I
not.
just,
on-
I would
it's not
like to
on.
know what's,
Right.
I just want to make sure that this is not going to slip through the cracks without me knowing about it. Because I am against that. I do not want that hovering over my building 3 feet away. That's not happening.
If it's,
Presumably be a
if
site
it's
plan,
scheduled to be
public hearing.
heard by the planning board, it will be posted on the agenda. So if you see it on the agenda, then obviously you'd want to attend that meeting, right? It's not
Of course
gonna-
I'll be there.
The planning board's not going to hear it unless it's an application that's been listed as an agenda item before the
I
planning
was
board.
told by the attorney for Verizon that this was going to be a quick thing and it was going to go through and nobody could stop it. I mean, it was infuriating.
Well, don't believe everything you hear, especially from attorneys from Verizon, right? The planning board has to hear this application. It's not the attorney for Verizon that's hearing it. It goes before a review board, and they have to approve it. They have a planner, they have attorneys. Joe Charbonneau is the attorney for the planning board. So Verizon doesn't dictate what's approved and what's not approved. The planning board does.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm quite upset.
There's an application.
I'm going to repeat that again, and I do not want this to go forward. I don't believe it should go forward. It's in a bad spot, and I'm sure Mr. Borelli, who owns multiple properties in the area, can find a better spot for it. I'm quite certain of that.
Greg,
Thank you for hearing me
Greg,
again.
would
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would the notice sign go up in front of that property before?
There is
There is one there
notice
now?
sign
Subject
there.
to site plan? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And presumably, there'll probably be a site plan, a public hearing on the site plan, and probably on seeker too. So those comments should be addressed to the planning board at that time.
Okay, all right. Is there anyone else before we close the public hearing? Yes.
Hi, good evening, Judy Mira. I just have a question in regard to what is in place that deems where these towers can be built. Is there something,
Presently, there's nothing.
Locally, nothing.
I
Which is
just
why
don't
we're looking at this.
understand why a tower would be built right next to a building.
I don't, and I'm not sure, I would have to take a look at that application, but it doesn't sound like it would be a tower. It really sounds like it would be more of an antenna, I think, because we have one that's already been put on top of two buildings right down on this section of Route 6. That really caused a lot of public feedback, which had us have a lot of communications with some consultants in the area. I don't think anything's going to get pushed through quickly based on the conversations that we had, unless it's really closely in line with what the requests are for this. But there really is nothing legally, I think, that sets anything until we make a change.
That's why we wanted this, because we heard
And
from
is that
the
within-
residents. Yeah, we heard from the residents, their concerns about them popping up. So we said, you know, let's have the public hearing, let's put together a law, which we've been working on for several months. This is the proposed law for the public to have read and comment on it, and then we can vote it in, have the Gestapo period or whatever, right?
You have to do a secret determination on it, which I'm assuming you'll do at the next meeting whenever you close the public hearing. If you keep it open tonight, you can do it, at the next meeting after you close. And then you can enact it. It becomes a law when it's filed in Albany. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to go
Okay,
tonight.
because I know you know that many residents, everybody today, has concerns about the fields
That-
around
that's-
and the effects of.
That's why we did this. Yeah.
There was also, and while we would all like to say no more towers and, everything will be great, there was also a study that the county's going under to try to get more antennas, more towers out there because of dead spots throughout our area. This is something that's been discussed, I believe, even to the federal level, where our senators and congressmen have been informed about all these dead spots. So we still need to be able to at least address good telecommunications, but we need to do it in a responsible manner. And I think anyone who follows our public meetings will know that myself and the gentleman who was addressed twice tonight don't always see eye to eye on things, but I do believe that one thing that he always does is cares about the way that the look of the town comes for an outcome. I don't believe it's anything that's going to be rushed through without having a good set of eyes on it with something that will be closely in line with this.
Well, it's not just the physical look of it, it's the health impact. I mean,
Absolutely. But
that's-
there really
that's
isn't,
a
I
real
don't believe
concern.
anything that we'd be able to do to say no more can go up anywhere. And that's a concern. We also had that concern when the county came and said that they were going to put it right at the top of the golf course next to where all our kids play soccer. And then after that discussion, they had changed the location slightly. So a lot of it just has to do with communication, and I think that this will be a great step in the right direction to make sure that we do it in a responsible manner. While it might not be the best alternative, we still have to worry about first responders, telecommunications, and
Okay, so
try
this
to
is
do the
going to
right
come
thing.
at the planning board meeting?
that one, I mean, anytime that there's an application for anything like that,
Application
it'll
is
be at
going
the
on.
planning board,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
I want to comment on Mr. Schneider's comments. Mr. Schneider, we don't have a lack of use of computers or anything. Right on Route 6. How many do you need on Route 6? A quarter of a mile from each other. That's ridiculous. But there's no dead spot there.
I am not a telecommunications engineer.
Well, you just said that. We need this, we need that. Come on.
This has come from not only the telecommunication industry, this has come from the federal government. We had
I
it discussed with
understand,
Senator
but you
Schumer.
don't
It's
need
been discussed
10
with Senator-
towers in a 1 mile radius. That is ridiculous. And they need to find another place for this tower where it's not next to people who are working and living 3 feet away.
I'm just going to ask a question to you. Do you think that Verizon would want to invest a lot of money in something that they didn't need if they could find a better
Well,
location
right now,
to do it?
Verizon's jockeying for positions. I've made a lot of phone calls regarding this. So it's not just them, it's other companies. They're all jockeying for positions to get in. And personally, they don't care about people. It's all about money. Okay? And I do care about people. I care about my neighbors, my friends, my customers, myself. I care about everyone, including myself. But it's for everyone's health and safety. You can't have so many towers in such a short distance of, it's ridiculous. We don't need it. Put it in areas where there are dead spots. Route 6 is not a dead spot, I can assure you. Thank you. I appreciate you hearing me.
So I think we should keep the public hearing open.
okay, is there any other members of the public that would like to come up at this time who has not spoken? Okay. Just so everybody's aware, our town planner, Pat Cleary, did extensive research on this law. He thoroughly vetted it out. He checked other municipalities in New York State, out on Long Island, and this is what we're including in this ordinance for our code is very extensive, it's very comprehensive, and it's one of the strongest that he's been involved in. So we included a lot of language that other municipalities have incorporated in theirs to create this. So we didn't just put this together, we had our planner do it. He did a lot of research and work on this, and there was a couple of changes, and there was some additional language that was added to it after he submitted his original draft of it. So it's had a lot of work done to it, and a lot of people have reviewed this, so we feel this is a strong ordinance, and it would be, appropriate for this community to adopt this into their town code. So, just want to let everybody know that it wasn't just the board or Greg that was involved in this, or our engineers, it was our planner that did a lot of work in creating this ordinance, the language in it. All right, so being there's no other members of the public that would like to speak on this, I need a motion to close the public hearing, or do you want to keep it open? It's up to you, whatever you.
No,
I think at least keep it open for, my belief is at 2 weeks, get any communications in that people in the public feel should be brought in.
And let people digest this.
Absolutely.
Some people in the audience just said that they weren't aware of this document right here, so let them read it and review it.
And definitely,
but
if
is
there are
that
concerns
going
that they
to-
have specific to the code, send them in.
But is that going to, like, prolong it? I mean, we want
By
to,
about 2 weeks,
well,
unless they come
no.
in with something compelling.
You weren't prepared to, you weren't scheduled to consider a passage of it tonight anyway. You still have a secret determination. So if
can
to
we
make,
start the secret determination
you,
with
you,
this?
you should do the secret determination after the public hearing is closed. So when you close it, if you close it at the next meeting, there's nothing that stops you, in theory, from making a secret determination and then voting the law, if there's no further revisions that you want to make. And if there are, then you have to go back through the public hearing process, if they're substantive anyway, so.
It's gotta go back. If it's substantive, then it may have to go back to the
So
planning board.
keeping it open for
I'll-
another meeting won't necessarily delay the passage of the law. You weren't
Yeah, I was gonna
passing
say,
it
I'll do
tonight.
it for another meeting, but I don't want to go too much longer because that, it just seems like everything you just keep on doing. I mean, we've had it out there, we've talked about it, people need to be
Can we keep it
informed.
open for a week? Because we have a public hearing for next week on the budget. We can then make
Yeah.
a vote at that public, we'll keep it open for a week. That gives everybody enough
And
time
give
to digest.
people-
They could go online.
That's
People
fine.
should see it.
Sounds good. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
And definitely, anyone in the public who reads the code and has feedback in relation to the code and specifics that could possibly be looked at, please send it in. That's the whole reason for keeping it open.
Okay.
I'll make that
You wanna
motion
make a motion?
to keep this open and have a follow-up public hearing, continuation of this public hearing on November 8th, a week from today. So that's my motion.
Second that?
Second it? Okay, seconded by Councilman Schneider. Roll call vote in?
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried. So the public hearing remained open, so that we will receive further comments from the public, if they have any further comments with respect to the draft of the ordinance that we reviewed this evening and that you have a copy of. Okay? All right. November 8th, we're going to leave it open, so if you have any further public comment, you would have to come next week. But we're having a public hearing on the budget next week anyway, as well as the fire protection district's public hearings on as well, so.
Will you put that out as well to let the residents know that this is going to be kept open?
Yes, we will.
And this document, the code is available online. So you can get it, you could review it, and as Joan mentioned, that she has done a lot of research, and if anything that she's researched is not in here that she feels that should be, that's where you come up and cross-reference your notes to the proposed code, and that's where we could have that dialogue next week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to the town board voting meeting. And the first item is to accept the town board minutes of October 4th and 18, 2017. Need a motion to accept those?
So moved, or second?
So moved by Councilman Lupinacci, seconded by Councilman Schneider. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, first resolution, number 1, is a resolution authorizing the rescheduling of a public hearing. Councilman Schneider, would you read resolution number 1, please?
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the rescheduling of a public hearing at Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, 10541, on Tuesday, November 21st, 2017, at 7 p.m., or as soon thereafter that evening as possible, on a proposed local law amending Chapter 137 of the Code of the Town of Carmel, entitled Taxation. And be it further resolved that the Town Clerk, Ann Spofford, is hereby authorized and instructed to publish and post the necessary notices in the official newspaper of the town and on the Town Bulletin Board regarding this public hearing. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Let me just explain, because sometimes when you hear taxation with respect to the code, people want to know what that's about. This is about the Cold War veterans exemption. So for members of the military who served during a certain period as the veteran, they're entitled to certain exemptions, and this is including the Cold War veteran status. And I think it's from 1945 through through the Korean War.
Korean War conflict
Desert- I think
through
it's
the Cold War.
Through Desert Storm.
Yeah.
I think it's through Desert Storm.
Through
It goes
Desert
that far.
Storm,
I think it does.
which was
that far.
91, John?
But it was the start.
Okay. All right.
I don't know, there were a couple phone calls that I had received from people who were asking in regards to National Guard. Anyone who has a question about that exemption, please call the assessor's office. They'll give you all the information that you know, 628-1500. But I don't know that, I didn't know that.
Okay, all right, great.
There's
Thanks.
eligible veterans defined in the statute, so Glenn can let them know, based on their service, or the services, whether they'd be eligible for. We have it now. What happened is there's an expiration that for the 2018 rolls, you wouldn't be eligible for that. And the Congress, state legislature has changed it so that it can be extended indefinitely for an eligible veteran who owns an eligible property for as long as it's owned, rather than have a sunset on it. And that's what the modification's about. Right.
Thanks, Greg. Okay, next resolution, number 2, is a resolution scheduling a public hearing to hear objections or to assessment rolls for the operation and maintenance of the improvements of the garbage, sewer, and water districts for fiscal year 2018. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 2, please?
Whereas the town of Carmel hereby has completed its assessment rolls for the operation and maintenance of the improvements servicing Carmel Sewer Districts number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and extensions thereto, as well as Carmel Water Districts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14, and extensions thereto, as well as the town of Carmel garbage districts of said town for fiscal year 2018, and whereas said assessment rolls have been filed with Ann Spofford, Town Clerk of the Town of Carmel. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby schedules a public hearing at Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, 10541, for Wednesday, December 6th, 2017, at 7 p.m., or as soon thereafter that evening as possible, for the purpose of considering any objections which may be made to said assessment rolls. I offer the resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 3, is a resolution awarding bids for miscellaneous highway department materials. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read number 3, please?
Whereas the Town Board of Town of Carmel has previously authorized advertising for the solicitation of bids for wash sand, winter mix, and guardrail, and whereas Highway Superintendent Michael Simone has recommended the awarding of the bids as set forth hereafter, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby awards the bids for the foregoing materials to the lowest responsible bidders who met specifications after adjustment for mileage in case of FOB plant bids.
Can you add for fiscal year 2018 in that?
For fiscal year 2018. And the bids are as following. For all of the rails, the guardrails, it goes to Chungma Supply Corp. of Elmira, New York. Winter mix is going to go to Package Pavement Company, Inc. of Stormville, New York. And wash sand is going to go to Red Wing Properties of Stormville, New York. I offer this resolution as read and as pre-filed with the town clerk.
And amended, as amended.
And amended. with
Second.
fiscal 2018.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number 4, is a resolution authorizing advertising for bids for the purchase of police uniforms. This would be for 2018. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read that, please? Number 4?
Resolved that pursuant to the request of Michael Kazari, Town of Carmel Chief of Police, Town Clerk Ann Spofford is hereby authorized to advertise for bids for the purchase of police uniforms for the Town of Carmel Police Department for calendar year 2018. And be further resolved that the Chief of Police is to furnish detailed specifications for the above to Town Clerk Ann Spofford to be used in conjunction with the town's general bid conditions and specifications. I offer this resolution as read.
Seconded?
Seconded by Councilman Schneider. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes. Resolution 4 carries. Okay, next resolution, number 5, is a resolution authorizing the, for bids for the cleaning of police uniforms. This is for the cleaning of them. Councilman Schneider, would you read 5, please?
Be it resolved that pursuant to the request of Michael Kazari, Town of Carmel Chief of Police, Town Clerk Ann Spofford is hereby authorized to advertise for bids for the cleaning of police uniforms for the Town of Carmel Police Department for calendar year 2018. Be it further resolved that the Chief of Police is to furnish detailed specifications for the above to Town Clerk Ann Spofford to be used in conjunction with the town's general bid conditions and specifications. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 6, is a resolution releasing of a bond. This is for Putnam County Savings Bank on Route 6 in Mahopac. Councilman Lombardi, would you read number 6, please?
Whereas applications have been made by Putnam County Savings Bank for the total release of bond posted in accordance with Chapter 131 and/or Chapter 156 of the Town Code regarding the property known and designated as Town of Carmel Tax Map 86.111-1-1, located at 150 Route 6, Mahopac. And whereas such applications have been reviewed by the Planning Board and the Office of Town Engineer, both of whom have recommended the release of said bonds. Now therefore be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the release of the bond referenced herein, specifically Aegis Security Insurance Company Bond B100276637 in the amount of $350,000. I offer the resolution as read.
Okay, offered by Councilman
Seconded.
Lupinacci. Seconded by Councilman Schneider. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 7, is a resolution authorizing the attendance at a seminar. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read 7, please?
Yes. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorize the Town of Carmel Fire Inspector Joseph Wilichowski to attend the New York State Building Standards and Codes Training Seminar offered by the New York State Department of State on November 28th through November 30th in Latham, New York, and be it further resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel authorizes payment, I'll go closer, of reasonable and necessary expenses incurred in connection therewith upon audit. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi. Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Next resolution, number 8, is a resolution authorizing emergency repairs to Carmel Water District Number 8. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read Resolution 8?
Sure. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Carmel Water District Number 8, and upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes payment for emergency repairs performed by B&J Plumbing, Inc., on or about September 20th, 2017, at a cost of $10,810, and in accordance with the invoice dated October 10th, 2017. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Carmel Water District Number 8, and upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes payment for emergency repairs performed by Cook Excavating, Inc. on or about September 20th, 2017, at a cost of $6,532.50, and in accordance with the invoice dated October 15th, 2017. And be it further resolved, the Town Supervisor, Kenneth Schmidt, is hereby authorized to sign any and all documentation necessary to authorize the actions contained herein. And be it further resolved that Town Comptroller Mary Ann Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer this resolution as read.
Okay, offered by Councilwoman McDonough,
Second?
seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 9, is a resolution authorizing the settlement of litigation. Councilman Schneider, would you read 9, please?
Whereas there is currently pending in the Supreme Court, County of Putnam, State of New York, under index numbers 1354/2015, 1092/2016, and 500,493/2017. Certain lawsuits entitled Mahopac Golf Club versus the Town of Carmel, Town Board of the Town of Carmel, and the Board of Assessment Review of the Town of Carmel in regard to in regards to the assessment of certain real property known and designated as Town of Carmel Tax Map Number 65-1-1, 65.13-1-4, and 65.9-1-13 on the 2015, 2016, and 2017 tax rolls. And whereas a proposed settlement of the litigation has been negotiated by Glenn Drosy, Town Assessor, and Special Counsel Richard Blancato, who have recommended approval of the proposed settlement in accordance with the correspondence from Special Counsel dated September 29, 2017, attached hereto and made part hereof. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the settlement of the aforementioned litigation and any other open litigation concerning the assessment of the aforesaid real property as recommended. And be it further resolved that the Special Counsel, Richard Blancato, is hereby authorized to sign, on behalf of the Town of Carmel, the stipulation of settlement and corresponding consent judgment reflecting the terms of the settlement. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Abstain?
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. And the aggregate amount of what the Town of Carmel will have to pay in the terms of the settlement of this litigation is about $29,000, including special districts. So that's what would be refunded and returned back to the Mahopac Golf Club. The remainder of the settlement would be the school district and Putnam County, but the town's portion is about $29,000, Greg, with the districts? Okay. And we do have monies set aside, just so the public understands this. We have a certiorari line in our budget that we maintain as designated funds just for certiorari settlements. We've maintained that for years now. There's sufficient funds in there, obviously, to cover this one and other certiораries that may be settled down the road. But we do have funds as designated in the budget to cover these costs. So it's not coming out of this year's operating budget. There's money in the budget set aside for these type of certiораries and SCARs, if you will, that are settled. Okay, next item on the agenda, number 10, is a resolution awarding a bid for the purchase and acquisition and installation of town servers. Councilman Lombardi, would you read number 10, please?
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel had previously authorized advertisements for the solicitation of bids for acquisition and installation of 2 Hewlett-Packard G10 server units and appurtenances for Town of Carmel IT operations, and whereas such bids were received and opened on October 25, 2017, and a copy of the bid memorandum is on file with Ann Spalford, Town of Carmel Town Clerk. Now therefore be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby awards the bid for the acquisition and installation of 2 Hewlett-Packard G10 server units, together with appurtenances including software and UPS equipment for the Town of Carmel IT operations to Sullivan Data Management, Inc., Yorktown, New York, the lowest responsible bidder who met specifications at a cost not to exceed $37,159.40. And be it further resolved, Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to sign any and all necessary documentation to effectuate the authorization on the terms set forth herein. And be it further resolved that Town Controller Mary Ann Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget modifications and/or transfers to fund the acquisition and installation authorized herein. I offer the resolution as read.
Okay, offered by Councilman Lombardi,
Second?
Seconded.
seconded by Councilman Lupinacci and Councilman Schneider. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, the 11th and final resolution of this evening is a resolution authorizing relinquishment of easement interest. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read 11, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the relinquishment and surrender of all easement and real property interest previously conveyed to the Town of Carmel in the instrument recorded in the Putnam County Clerk's Office at Liber 760, page 284, and recorded therein on or about April 30th, 1979, and be it further resolved that Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to execute any instrument in recordable form affecting the relinquishment and surrender of the easement interest referred herein. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman
Yes.
Lupinacci. Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, at this time, that completes the...
Kenny, I do have one other item
Yeah.
that I've been debating, whether to make a motion to relinquish, rescind a resolution. Talking with some board members, they feel that it would be more prudent to forward a correspondent to the county instead of this, but in full disclosure and transparency to the public, this is in regards to a resolution in support of the sewer feasibility and facility study, Route 6 corridor. And this is where we're talking about going from Wall Hours all the way down to, say, Bolden Place or Somers Commons in the Carmel area, Town of Carmel, and the feasibility is of sending the sewage to Heritage Hills. Bruce Walker came in and spoke on this matter, and various questions, and the resolution read that the town would be greatly involved in this study, have final say in the feasibility and the scope of this study. And we received some correspondence today saying that the vendor, the engineering firm, is close to finishing the scope, yet no one in the town board, be it the engineer or the town board members, have been versed on what the scope looks like. I'm hoping that the scope is not finished, since we had no input, and this is one reason why I wanted to rescind this resolution, that we're not in favor of the study if we're not going to have a say in it. It is very important that we have a say in it. I said it during that meeting that the devil's in the detail, and if we're not part of the detail and trying to figure out what is going on, this is happening within the town of Carmel, and if a district is created, only the town of Carmel can create a district, and only the town, or establish or extend a district. Thank you. Not the county. Love that the county has some involvement, love that the county wants to give us and fund this study, but to me, it's very similar to a New York State grant. The state gives the money, they don't tell us which vendor we need to use, they don't tell us what we have to put in the scope. We have to obviously follow some guidelines within New York State grant, but to me, this is similar. And if they're going out and getting an engineering firm, and they're controlling the study, which I directly asked Bruce Walker when he sat over there, who's gonna control the study? And I said, I want the Carmel to, and he said Carmel should control the study, yet now it's already been recorded that the county's gonna control the study. There has to be some correspondence and dialogue between the county and the town. So I will not right now ask to rescind this resolution for the study, but I do believe a strongly written or worded letter should go to the county voicing our concern, and I'm being transparent. Further transparency, I am 100% for extending the sewer down there. I thought it was great to think out of the box. I still think we should go after the DEP to try to expand our sewage, if there's other areas that we could do. So I love the idea, and I love the concept, and I'm all in favor of it. I don't like, though, how it's being presented, that the town's gonna be in charge, but now we're not in charge. Or the town's gonna have say, and now the town doesn't even have say. We get an email from the vendor to our engineering department asking a couple questions. So, to put it out to the public, to be full transparent, the communication between the county and Somers, which didn't occur initially, now it has been occurring, the Somers and the county, and Somers and the town of Carmel. It has to work better. The town of Carmel has to be part of this study. So, full transparency, 100% for it. Don't like how things are happening right now, so hopefully we can get ahead of that. And if it continues, then I will make a motion to rescind this study, which doesn't mean I'm against it. It means that we'll rescind it through via the county, and then I'll put a motion that the town runs its own study. And if that means we lose $100,000 from what the county's gonna give, good. I'm not gonna be controlled by the county just because they're gonna fund it. New York State gives a grant, they don't control us. We ask for the grant, we follow the guidelines. So I said my piece. If anyone wants to add anything, I will not make the motion right now, but I will make a motion that we don't have to be voted on, but we need to send a correspondent to the county.
I think communication is imperative, and John, I'd be happy to write that letter with you.
So,
Yeah, I believe Greg.
Probably a good person to
I
have
think
involved
Greg-
in the whole
out of all of
process
us, I
there.
think Greg's the best wordsmith. So just saying.
He should probably be our final go-through to make sure that we don't do anything that would be foolish on our parts.
All right, and I just want to say that, like John, just to echo what John had said a few minutes ago, my belief was, and I was told directly from Bruce Walker, the former deputy county executive, is that the town of Carmel was running this, and that I was chairing the task force, when there was a task force that we were going to put together. But subsequent to that was the letter from Supervisor Rick Morrissey in the town of Somers saying, what are you talking about, all right? Heritage Hills is a sewer district that was created by the town of Somers years ago, and the town of Somers would grant any out-of-district use of that facility. Even though the facility is privately owned, the Heritage Hills sewer treatment plant, it's governed by the town of Somers through a district that was created called Heritage Hills Sewer District years ago. So they're the only ones that can grant any out-of-district use of that plant. And from what I was told by Supervisor Morrissey, it was their intention to reserve any additional flows that that plant may have available for the town of Somers and not for the town of Carmel. So essentially what he was saying is we're not going to agree to it. We're not going to agree to an out-of-district, especially not out-of-district, out-of-town and out-of-county use of the Heritage Hills sewage treatment plant. So that was the last conversations that I had with Supervisor Morrissey. I know Council Polchetti had foiled some documents with respect to the creation of the district, which we have. And as far as any conversations or communications that the county may have had with the town of Somers or Supervisor Morrissey, I'm not familiar with that. I'm not aware of that because I haven't been told that. So if there was, then great, and I hope they do communicate with the town of Somers and not leave them the way they did previously where there was no communication, where it was almost like they were, what are you talking about? You know, so we can't have that, and I agree, Jonathan. Communication is the key.
But we have to be part of that.
communicate.
Have to
We
be
do
every
have
step
to
of the
be
way.
part of that.
And that's what
I
that
agree.
resolution specifically stated, was we're supposed to be heavily involved through every step of the process with final decision-making.
Right.
Specifically had that resolution written that way. So I think, yeah, just we need to open the lines of communication a little bit more and
Well, I think it was made very clear from the beginning, and we were all very willing to work together, and we were told that we would, and unfortunately, you know, I don't know what
That-
happened,
and
you
that's
know,
kind-
so
and
so
that-
that's what we need to find out.
And that's
is-
why I'm
is
on the
what
fence
happened.
of rescinding this resolution, because it was presented that way, we wrote the resolution that way, and now it's not happening that way. And to me, that's troublesome, but, you know, maybe this is round one, and we'll work out all the kinks, but it's concerning to me. I was concerned about the devil in the details, and now we're not even being asked to what details we need to know about. And I think it's very important that we are part of that, so.
Well, I also want to state, just so the public understands, and I think I can speak for the board, I'll speak for myself, but I believe I'm speaking for the board. We're all supportive of looking at options and different alternatives to running the sewer main west on Route 6 towards Baldwin Place. I think that would be a big benefit to the community.
Totally. Definitely need it.
We're all supportive of it. It's just how that's going to get done. We need to look at other options, because I personally believe the Heritage Hills option is probably not a very good option. I think we ought to follow up with what John said with the DEP, the New York City DEP, or Westchester County, because Westchester County's sewer main is literally right across the town borders, the boundaries of the town of Carmel and the town of Somers. So maybe we ought to, explore looking at that option as a viable option, or the DEP. I think the Somers, the Heritage Hills option, I just don't see how that's going to work. And just based on my conversations with Supervisor Morrissey and his letter, which was very direct, I think everybody read it, it was on Facebook for everybody to see, so I think we all got it, is they're pretty firm in their position, very direct and firm. So I don't think there's much flexibility there. If there is, great, but at least, we should have that conversation and follow up on it, but.
I will just add,
Right, John?
not to be a cynic or not to be negative, I totally agree, but we have to do something with that corridor, and we should turn every rock over. But I will put on record, this is round one, but if this continues, I personally, one of five, will not accept any study that is run entirely by the county, without any Carmel input or enough Carmel input. They could do their own study, and they could hand it to us, and they could make it look like we're rejecting it. But I'm putting it out there right now up front. If it's not done right with town of Carmel input, I personally, one of five, will be against the study. That does not mean I do not want sewer down there. I want sewer extended. I want to turn over every rock, but it's going to be done the right way, and it's not going to be done just one government agency controls it, and the government agency that's the only legal agency to create or establish the district doesn't have that much say in it. So let's hope round one, we get the kinks out, and round two, round three, things getting better,
Yeah.
so we'll go from there.
I agree. Thanks, John. Anyone else on this particular item? No? Okay. All right. Agenda items. Is there anyone here for agenda items that we covered this evening? Yes, Mike.
Regarding number 6, releasing bond Putnam County Savings Bank. For the record, I'm their customer, and I love the bank. But as a developer, anytime I went for a bond release, it was off a town road. Who's going to maintain that road? Because it's only a spur, and it's unfinished. And like I said, this question is not against, it just brought into my attention the road. I'm happy they're getting their bond back. Building looks beautiful. But who owns the road? Who's going to maintain it? Is the town going to maintain it? That's my
That
question.
particular road that,
There's no dedicated facility.
It's not dedicated,
not
that road's
dedicated.
not
So
dedicated.
the property owner will be required to maintain it. The town will not.
Okay, so you can get a bond return on a undedicated road?
No, the bond returns for the site work only, okay? And I don't know that the road is on the parcel where the site work was done, but whatever is there is going to be maintained by the property owner until there's an offer of dedication, and to my knowledge, there are none at this point.
Okay, so if the property owner doesn't plow and the bank has to be open, it's not your problem.
No, it is not.
I like Mr. Lupinacci's expression, the devil's in the details. Number 11, authorizing relinquishment of easement interest. What easement? I missed it.
This is an easement concerning the Mayapack Dam and the enforcement and litigation matters that have been ongoing for the better part of a year. And that's, the town decided that they're going to relinquish an easement interest over the sluiceway and the dam as part of that process.
So relinquishing, okay. Is that why the water's not down this year? Is that why the water's not going down? Has it been lowered?
It has not. We have not opened the valve to lower the lake. The town has not. If it was not by the town of Carmel.
That's my question.
Right, that, and
Who's
and that-
opened, who opened the valve for the last 15 years?
in the past?
Yeah.
The town has.
Lake District and the town.
Right.
Both parties. I mean, you could say the Lake District is part of the town, but the members of the Lake District and also some people of the engineering department
Engineering.
would go over there and turn down the valve.
And why would we be relinquishing an easement interest?
That's for
Wait a minute.
council to respond.
That part of the process that I can't get in too great a detail because both of the enforcement and the litigation matters are undergoing. This is a step that the town board decided to take to protect its rights in those proceedings, and this was
Thank you.
the best move at the time.
And so the last comment, which wasn't on the agenda, but you made part of the agenda, I've said from day one, the sewer thing is a folly. It's just not happening. And that night, I wish you said that. You should have said it that night. In executive session, you have two things. You have Richard Franzetti, P, Town Engineer Personnel.
Yes.
Why can't that be discussed in public? What is it about?
That is with respect to a particular employee,
Okay,
a staff member of the engineering department.
okay. And Edie McCarthy, contractual, wasn't that something we discussed publicly that, you know, didn't you just pass a resolution to hire her several weeks ago?
We did, and her role is as the monitor. What she's coming in tonight is in regards to the contract that'll be fulfilled with outside vendor in regards to cyclical reassessment. So she's come in right now, it's just in regards to getting that information before we go into contract.
So why does it have to be an executive session?
It's contractual.
No, it's matters leading to the appointment or retention of a particular person or organization. And so it's appropriate for executive if you want it.
That's good enough. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else for agenda items? Yes, Jen.
Hi, Jennifer Marr. It wasn't an agenda item, but about the sewer district, I just want to add a couple of thoughts. You calling it round one, I just want to remind you guys that the only thing I've ever heard about potential sewer coming to that area has come from the county. So I just encourage you to keep those lines of communication open, pick up the phone call, don't just write a letter. And I'll remind the supervisor, the last letter that you wrote to the county was done as a press release. Keep the politics out of it. Let's make progress.
Okay.
I totally agree. I'll just add that communication's two-way street, and when they call us and tell us what's happening, it'd be greatly appreciative, or even ask for our input after they made a promise that we were gonna have a lot of say in it. So you are 100% correct.
We also put out the press release about the task.
I actually did put out a phone call after we received the information, specifically to representatives at the county, so hopefully we'll get some more information, which is what we really want to be able to have before we send off any more communication and continue, hopefully, moving forward towards progress. But I think, to piggyback on what Kenny said, I don't know about the true feasibility of this as a finished project. We still need to talk to Westchester County, talk to DEP. We have to figure out what other alternatives we really have, because in the end, it's going to sit on our shoulders as the governing body of this town, whether we get a sewer district or not, whether we have an extension or not. Anyone can do a study, but it's really going to rest on whoever the sitting body is in this town at that time.
We really need to hire the lobbyists that we've been talking about and that we've brought in twice, and get a true expert on talking to multiple municipalities and governments and even the DEP. So we I brought in a lobbyist, we didn't like him. Jonathan, you and I went down to New York, we brought in a lobbyist. We have to move on that task.
We've been waiting for a phone call.
So,
So we
nope.
can, I know it's been going on month after month, but, you know,
No, agreed.
we have to make it happen, and we just can't talk about it. Talk
And,
is very cheap.
and when we make it happen, we have to stay on it and continue it from happening, because we can't just make it happen and then step back. So agreed with your point.
Okay, is there anyone else for agenda items only at this time? Come on up to the podium. If not, we'll move on to, is there anyone on, ma'am, agenda? No? Okay, so we're going to open the floor up now to new business. This is the open forum portion of the meeting where the public can come up and speak. Yes, Jen? On any town-related matters, you can address the board. You must be a resident, taxpayer, or property owner to speak at this portion of the meeting. Yes.
Okay. Jennifer Marr again, and last Tuesday I was in my office, which is located downtown Mayapack on Route 6, and several business owners and employees of businesses came in upset that they received parking tickets on, I think it was on 6N that day. And I've spoken to several of you, and this is an issue that we've had in the past, and there's quite a few things that are wrong with this picture. Number one, it is very sporadic. The people who have worked there for years don't even know it's 2-hour parking there. So I know the police department is doing their job. There are signs there that say 2-hour parking. However, the sporadicness is something that I've spoke to Kazari about and also Officer Dearman. So that's one thing. The other thing is that the town, which I appreciate that you're looking into long-term parking issues, but at this point, the situation downtown is you have basically pitted business owners against business owners. And the reason why they went out last Tuesday to issue those tickets is because business owners are calling and saying other business owners and employees are in front of their places all day long. When I spoke to Jonathan Schneider, he said, well, you know, there's other places to park. Do you think that any of those employees or business owners know anything about the county lot? Has the town board ever, you know, tried to communicate that to them or offer any short-term solutions? So while I think it's great that you're looking for long-term solutions, you have a real problem down there now. I've seen people screaming at each other, business owners screaming at each other in the middle of Route 6. It's dangerous. You've had people hit by cars on 6N. You've had all kinds of things. And Kenny, I don't mean to pick on you, but it wasn't even 6 years ago where you didn't think we had a parking issue. And now it has just...
No, I always knew we had a parking. I did acknowledge we do have a parking issue. It's
Well, now you
it's the
definitely
property
do.
that you were trying to sell the town was not, in my opinion, was not a good site for a municipal parking lot.
But now you're considering one lot away for
No, we're not.
$700,000 more,
Who is?
the town.
No, we're not.
Okay. So,
I will
and
say.
I want to just add, one of the reasons why people don't like to come speak is because this should not be a back and forth. I am here to discuss the things that I have an issue with. I have enough of a temper, so don't engage. You know, it's not fair.
no,
And
Jen-
I always end up on YouTube with little snippets of my stuff being used, which shouldn't be allowed either. So,
I definitely appreciate your communication. I received a couple more phone calls from other business owners of the downtown area, and it goes back to what I think, what we all need to work on, which is communications. And you're absolutely right. There hasn't been anything that the town put out to business owners saying, hey, guys, look, there's a community parking area that the county paid millions of dollars for. They upset a ton of residents in their backyard. Nobody really utilizes it. It's a quarter mile up the road. Here's an alternative for you. Absolutely, it hasn't been put out there. I agree. Maybe we could sit down and just come up with a simple paragraph to
But
get out
Jonathan,
through the business
maybe we can
community.
do that in conjunction, though, with the Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely, and that's, there were a
you
couple
know,
representatives from the
because
chamber who
I've
said the same
also-
thing. And they want to
yeah.
do the same thing. They want to have communication, an avenue where we're able to talk, and they could be the ones who disseminate the word out to the business owners. So I think it's a matter of
communication
better
is great,
communications.
but responsibility is even more important. This board, prior boards, and the planning boards for years back have allowed and have issued site plan approvals and C of Os for those businesses and those residents. You guys can do something about this 2-hour parking enforcement. Come up with something. I don't know what it is, but you need to do something.
Yeah, but Jen,
For a tenant,
Go ahead.
thank you. For a tenant who is a resident to receive a ticket overnight when he's been parking there for a year or two and then all of a sudden get a ticket, I mean, this is just, it's unprofessional, and it makes us look really, really bad. I mean, we're trying to bring businesses here. We're trying to revitalize and bring sewer districts down, and we're pitting business owners against each other, and we're not providing them with any solutions. And quite frankly, the sewer district and the parking, I've been talking about this stuff for like 11 years. Kenny, how long have you been on the town board? Aren't you tired of having these conversations? So let's,
Jen, you don't want me to have a dialogue with you, so I'm not going to,
Yeah.
you don't want me to defend what you're saying, I won't, all right? I have communicated that $1 million parking lot that was built across from CUF off of Mount Hope Road, I've communicated that to the business owners. That's an alternative. and
business
you know-
owner, you've never communicated it to me. How?
Excuse me. What I've been, when I told the business owner that that's an option, you can either park there, or your employees can park there, or your customers can park there. You know what the answer was? Nah, it's too far. Do you have a shuttle? Can you shuttle us? That's the answer I got. And I told it to I'm sorry I didn't tell it to you, but I told it to a half a dozen people that called my office complaining about the parking. I used that lot as an option, that nobody uses it. It's underutilized. They don't want to park
It
there.
has to be part of a real plan. If you say, we're going to start enforcing 2-hour parking regularly, and if you don't want to receive tickets, here is your solution. I don't know, but,
I
because I
agree. I think
believe
we
in
put
the
the-
2-hour parking in theory, because on 6N,
I think we can certainly do that, send that message out, but on, definitely do that so the business owners and the people that usually park there all the time know that they are going to start getting ticketed. Because the flip side of that is the businesses down there has also complained, I know to me, that a customer can't come in to park because people are parked. So we can work definitely on a happy medium until the long-term solution is fixed.
Need a short-term
So
solution.
possibly,
I think we might have put
letting
the cart
everybody
before the
know
horse on
that
this one. So
the 2
absolutely
hours.
should have put communication out there that was much more thorough to at least say, hey, we're going to start enforcing in 2 weeks,
Enforcing
starting
the
this
2-hour
day.
They
parking.
They did. Lieutenant
Yeah.
Dearman went to every,
Bilingual notice.
there's a bilingual notice, there's a
Yeah.
notice in English. John went to every business.
Not mine.
Lieutenant Dearman.
not mine.
And I don't know why you didn't go to yours, and I don't
Either.
know why,
I was
maybe
on
I
the-
didn't tell you about the parking.
And that's just
But-
it. The business owners I heard from, none of them
So,
had received any communication.
and the one other, real quick,
Yeah,
Yeah, I must have hit, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's you.
I hit it.
I pissed him off.
You thought it was hostile before, Jen?
I hit it by accident. I hit it when Jen was talking, sorry.
Wait till this YouTube.
Not the first time I've been in cuffs in this building.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for the laugh.
And the other issue that is occurring is that there is a very rampant issue with drunk and drugged-out people living in the park, living on the bike path, living behind the gas station. I have a 14-year-old daughter. We live downtown. I work downtown. I won't let her walk, past 4 p.m. from her girlfriend's house behind the gas station to my house.
I know
We
the
all
police
moved
have
up
been going
here
out
so
there
that we
all the
could do
time.
those kind of things.
That individual, if it's the same one, he was just arrested 2 days ago.
And a female.
Yeah, I was
And the
going to
FEMA,
say
yeah, it
that
was-
there's a few.
But it
Yeah.
took weeks, so I just encourage all of you, what we have downtown is very special, and for future planning, it's very important that you guys spend time down there and see what's going on, because for me, it's like tenfold, because I live and work there, but it's not pretty. I've had one individual arrested 5 times, so, that's all, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Mike?
Actually, as Jen brought up the 6N, the accidents and the parking, where are we at with that sidewalk proposal? Is that on hold? I hope that's on hold.
That's on hold.
That's on hold to the
Absolutely.
parking consultant and what we do with, okay.
Right.
6 weeks ago, September, almost 6 weeks ago, September 19th, Chris at the assessor's office gave you Frank's name regarding Swan Cove. Right?
Yes, correct,
Okay.
correct.
It's November 1st. I had a conversation with Frank over the weekend. All right? He wants to sell the property. He wants it to be a park. He was taken aback, and he wasn't going to sell the property when he heard there's going to be a parking structure built on it. He visions it, actually the same way I think the board visioned it and I visioned it, of 2 parks connected with a walkway bridge, maybe a little pier, the beach area that's existing, and parking where there's item 4 now, and existing structures. And he was taken aback by a couple of things. That, and he said he wouldn't even sell it if that was considered, he'd want a deed restriction on that. He thinks it should be for the people if he does it. And the second thing was the due diligence. He said he asked for 120 days due diligence. What do we need 120 days for?
Ask him.
Greg, you want- yeah, you want-
The scope of the project that's being considered involves the potential acquisition of that parcel and 3 to 4 other parcels that are contiguous to it or adjacent to it. So the negotiation and the appraisal of the initial parcel has to be dovetailed with the acquisition of the other parcels, which require board approval, being that they're owned by the bank, Tompkins Bank. We have some engineering investigation to do. It's certainly not a design process. A large part of that group of proposed parcels are in a FEMA flood zone. So there's some at least initial inquiry to do on potential permitting for that. And you also have just the issue of potentially doing a soil study through some boring to make sure that even though it's a surface lot, it's appropriate for bearing the kind of weight that you're considering if it's a full-scale lot.
You have 8 buildings on the lot now.
Fair enough. I don't know how extensive it is, and during our conversation, you indicated there may be soil data out there, and that would
Well, I've owned it for
expedite it.
I've owned it for 20 years. You have 8 buildings, you have 2 that are sagging in, and that was a cause of a lawsuit with White Sale that was resolved, that was proven in court from all that water coming into that area. And anybody that looks at it closely can see the buildings tip into each other where White Sale dropped their water. So I don't understand, I understand due diligence, but I also do not want to see the town lose this piece of property. The man is willing to speak to you. He wants to sell it. He has all his approvals now. And I just think 120 days is a little excessive. And you just commented about spending $1 million, not the town's money, but they spent $1 million on a parking lot that's an absolute joke, that nobody uses except a taxi driver when he's waiting for his next fare. And now for $1 million, you could totally change downtown Mahopac. What are we waiting for? Excuse me?
Mike, as you know and as everybody knows, and I'll just talk for myself, we definitely, I definitely want that property down there, but I also want to make sure that when we buy it, it can be used for what we want to. And I don't know if it takes 30 days to do that or 120 days. So I'm going by what, I was informed would be the appropriate time. If it can be lowered to 90 days or 60 days, I'd be in favor for that. But with anything, it is due diligence, and we want to make sure that we want it, we need it desperately, and I don't know, I've never talked about putting a big building there, a parking garage there.
Let me tell you about the FEMA floodplain.
I'm with the vision with the little bridge, going back and forth from the Chamber Park to this.
Let me tell you about the FEMA floodplain. First of all, no one's building there. I received, me and my partner received from the planning board approval to build 10 condominiums there. If I received approval from the planning board to do that, how can you tell me that we have to go to the FEMA to get permission to not build it, to make it a park? Sounds a little ludicrous. Now I'll give you something else about FEMA and their flood plan maps. I and my partners pay almost $5,000 a year insurance for Il Legato and the storage building for Il Legato. Okay, the storage building is 4 feet higher than Lake Mahopac, and we're required to pay, because we have a mortgage on it, a federal mortgage, we have to get federal flood insurance. So we're paying $2,500 on that building in case the lake goes up 4 feet. So do you want me to tell you what my thought is for your FEMA flood plan that you're worried about?
It's impossible for the lake to raise that much.
Okay?
Yeah, it
The
don't
FEMA
raise- it don't raise
floodplain
that
is
much.
bull. The borings are bull. You've had trucks parked there. There are 16 loads of millings on that property now that haven't sunk 1 inch. Go dig them out and look. And they've been there for over 2 years. I forget about how many tons of rock are sitting on that blacktop that haven't sunk. And you're gonna tell me as a board that you're worried that it won't hold the weight of cars for a park to change the whole look of downtown Mayapack? This man has to be spoken to. He has to be spoken to tomorrow or the next day, or you're gonna blow it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You 5 people are gonna blow it. Big time.
Well, I was under the impression that there was talks between the gentleman and people on this town board, so to say that there weren't talks against us.
There were talks. He heard that they were gonna build a parking structure
Right,
on it.
right, and you know what gets me, we're damned if we're doing, we're damned if we don't with anything. If we do our due diligence, we get yelled at. If we don't do our due diligence, we get yelled at. You know, we're trying to do something that is gonna be absolutely beautiful for downtown Mayapack,
Sue,
okay?
I've developed real estate.
But Mike, there has been conversations. You may not be aware of them.
Oh, I'm aware of
but there-
all of them.
Of course you are, but so then you know that there's been conversations.
Yes.
Not with me.
And I'm trying to save the conversation
Not with
because the
me.
man was very upset
Right, but
that he
don't,
heard a parking
but
garage was
Mike, you
gonna be
can't
built on it.
stand up there and say that there haven't been conversations.
I didn't say that. I said,
that there
I'm
needs to be
telling you the
That there
problem.
needs to be more. All right, so
I'm
whomever
telling you
on
is he backed off because he heard there was gonna be a parking garage.
Well, I don't
Hey,
know
slow
where.
down. I said, if you're worried
I've
about that,
never
put it in the deed.
I've never heard that.
There you go. I'll continue that conversation tomorrow. I've had conversations with them multiple times, and
Perfect.
we
Here's the
have
problem.
we had an agreement in regards to conceptually a number. My belief is, after attorneys discussed, we're just waiting. I'm going to call them tomorrow and specifically state that. You tell us what number works for you on a due diligence
He had
period.
his numbers.
You
His
put it
number
in.
hasn't changed.
No, but the days of, the number's not going to change. It's the matter of the due diligence period. And this is where negotiations go. And if it's going to be deed restricted, absolutely have it put in there if that's your concern.
But Jonathan-
We'll continue that conversation, because the last time we had our conversation, he and I, not a chance. And I even specifically said,
Because he thought there was gonna be a garage on it.
and you know, and that's just it. If he would have told me at that time, I would have said, do me a favor, just have your attorney put it in there and send it over to us. Let's start this process. So I will make that phone call tomorrow again.
Nobody,
Thank you.
everybody in this room, other than the attorney, I understand the due diligence process. I've developed my whole life, okay? I know what due diligence is. I've bought 50 environmental reports, okay? Thousands of appraisals. But you can't be bureaucratic about it and sit on this. You have to understand something. To tell me you need boring samples to see if it'll hold the weight,
He's already got the samples for us.
when
You
the
know that.
samples are done.
You already know
I
that.
have boring samples. I did boring samples to prove the lawsuit with the White Sale. He did boring samples in case he wanted to put pilings in. They're there. The discussion has to be brought up, it has to be reinvigorated, and you can't tell me that you're worried about boring samples or FEMA when we're taking down buildings that are existing there that has more weight on the property right now than you'll ever put on it. If you tell me you have to deal with the bank, he will understand that. But when you tell him you have to check if the property is going to hold the weight of a park, he's going to look at you like, I'm not doing a deal with these people, they're crazy. And I would say the same thing. I'm talking to you as a developer like he is. This is a very upstanding individual. He said to me, he goes, Mike, I'd love to do this. It would change the whole downtown.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
It will change the whole downtown. It will solve partial parking problems. Okay? 3/4 of it, it'll solve. It will increase the value of everybody's downtown property. It will increase the value of the homes in Mayapack. It will increase everything. This is a no-brainer. You could either have a park there or you could have 10 fully approved condominiums or rentals, because he's going to keep them. He loves the lake so much, he's going to keep them. And you're telling me you have to do due diligence for the weight of the property?
Mike, this board didn't set that number. The due diligence period, that didn't come from us. That came from the attorney and from the engineering department.
Well, attorney's being safe.
We just agreed to it
The
because...
attorney's being safe because he knows how long it takes you guys to do something.
And I'm not trying to
Yeah,
throw
you
poor
might-
Greg under the bus. It's just that...
I'm not throwing him under the bus. I just threw you under the bus. He's covering himself because he knows you guys can't do anything in 30 days. The town of Yorktown
No, unfortunate-
approved.
I'm not going to get into arguments.
I don't have...
Mike, I'll make that phone call tomorrow.
If
Thanks.
he's willing...
In
Mike,
3
it's-
months,
it-
the
it-
town of Yorktown approved BJ Shopping Center from where Costco used to be. In 3 months. They put everything aside, said, this is good for the town, and we're going to do it now. And they had meetings that they had to have. In 3 months, they put a BJ's where Costco
Mike,
was supposed
I
to be.
know. Jonathan, please just call him tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll call... why don't you and I call them together?
Just
wants
get
to have a
it, just
meeting.
get it done.
Yeah,
I will
absolutely.
speak for him.
Let's-
You don't have to call him.
Let's
He's
either-
available for a
look,
meeting with us.
I'd rather not discuss this over the phone with him. Can we get together with him?
I just told you
Thank you.
that I
Can-
sat with him for
can
3
you-
hours over the weekend.
Kenny,
He would like to
Kenny,
meet
you are the town supervisor, okay? Have a meeting with him tomorrow with Jonathan, and Mike wants to be there. That's it. We don't need to
the
keep on
attorneys.
going back and forth.
This
We'll
man's
get
not
it
making
done.
10 cents on this property. I know what I sold it to him for. I know what he spent. He could document it.
Well, Mike, we'll meet with him tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to give him a call and ask him when he can meet with you.
And if you'd like to join us, I'd be more than happy to have you sitting down with us.
I would think he'd
at the
want
ta-
me there.
All right, so...
He would want me there.
So let's do that. I want you there. He may want you there, but I think it's good to have you there also.
I have one other question as I calm down a little bit. I apologize.
No need to. Just don't want Kenny to hit the push.
Next Tuesday, okay, this board can look exactly like it looks now, or it could look dramatically different.
Wait, are we going to get into campaign stuff? Because
No.
if we are, I'm going to get up and I'm going to come over there and I'm going to start my
absolutely are
campaign
not.
stuff.
We are not.
Okay.
We're going to get into town taxpayer business. This board can either look the same as it does now, or it could look dramatically different with 1 or 2 people different. My question to you is this. In the next 5 weeks, are we planning on extending anything or making any appointments? Because I feel whoever's elected, whether it's the same town board or different people, that they should be included in that. I don't believe, and I've watched this town for 30 years, I don't see anything coming up next year that is that critical that has to be done over the holiday seasons. I've seen too many things slip through the cracks. I've seen too many things put on agendas that weren't on agendas till the last second. Okay? And I would ask, since there's an election coming up, for the benefit of the taxpayers, not the people that are running, that any town business that pertains to the future includes whoever wins or whoever stays the same.
I don't think we've ever done that in the past.
You did when I was,
Yeah.
Jonathan and I were elected.
Yeah.
And Mr. Borelli actually said while we were while you guys started the negotiating
You guys never did it with me.
with the police department, Mr. Borelli said that you have 2 finance people, they really should be part of that conversation. And you guys invited us into, I think, 2 or 3 executive
Thank you.
sessions.
I'm the one that said that with Jonathan being there.
So you did. You invited
I
us,
did.
but you sat there at that podium and said, the 2 people that just won are 2 finance people. Bring them
Anybody
in.
that's contract that might expire or appointment that ends December 31st, you can keep on a month to month. You can give them 90 days. I don't think any
How about
opponent,
a new hire? Because we're actually looking to hire employees.
Two new.
That-
you know, if it's necessary, it's necessary. But I mean,
I think you're referring to as contractual people, right? Anybody that we have a,
I'm talking about any new business
right,
that affects the taxpayers after January 1st. The long-term decision should be made by the board that's sitting January 1st.
I think he's saying
If
contractual
anybody-
and appointed,
And appointed.
board appointees, because
Right.
at the meeting in January, a lot of times we appoint, zoning, planning.
At the
and so
organizational meeting.
Organizational meeting.
I think that should be put off a week too, because if you might have a change in the board. You might not.
I'm just going to voice my opinion on it. In one way, I disagree with it, because we have to, I was elected till the end of the year. If I win or not, hopefully I will win, but I'm elected till the end of the year, and I can't stop.
Do you have any
because-
life and death
Do you know
or
what I'm saying?
dangerous things
I don't
that?
know, I don't know what's coming up.
Well, if you have
but
life
I'm
or
gonna
death or
con-
dangerous, of course you do.
But I'm going to continue
But if you
to-
have something that affects
to
money
serve the people.
and taxpayers, it's not life and death, and it's not imminent. You want to give month to month, you want to give 90 days, you want to give 60 days, that's fine. But anything that affects taxpayers that's decided on before January is not right. It's absolutely not right.
Well, then you really can't even vote for the budget then, because the budget's going to affect the taxpayers.
The budget, you're having a hearing next week. The budget, you did already.
No, I know, but it's after the, no, but if
You're not
we're going-
extending it?
But if we're going to your thing, then we shouldn't even vote on the budget, for whoever wins. I'm just
No,
saying you
you're
can
turning
go
it around.
into the,
You're turning it. Okay, thank you
I
very
know what
much.
you mean. I think I do. Okay. Is there anyone else here for, we're in new business, right? New business, open forum
business.
portion of the meeting? No? No? Okay. All right, there being none, does the town board have any, I do have a couple of announcements.
I just wanted to mention regarding the Veterans Thanksgiving Day dinner.
Okay.
We still have some availability. It is November 18th. It's a Saturday, and it's open to all veterans plus a guest. And it is, there's an 11:30 sitting and 2 o'clock sitting, and it's at the Mahopac Golf Club. And
No,
it's
no, Putnam.
Putnam Golf
Putnam
Club,
Golf
thank
Club,
you.
On Hill Street.
Putnam Golf Club, right there on Hill Street. So just contact me if you want to go. And the DAV is going to have the USO girls have a show there too. So it's really nice. If anybody would like to volunteer, contact or make donations of potatoes or carrots or anything like that, you can contact me as well.
Good.
That's it.
Susie, I'm actually bringing a World War II veteran.
All right, we actually have a few of them
One
coming.
of
That's awesome.
my neighbor.
Is he gonna come?
He's coming, if I bring him.
Great, good. Yeah, bring them, definitely.
So I'll pick him up.
Anything for a free
Yeah.
lunch, Kenny.
No, he's
Anything.
gonna have
Say
to
hello,
see
hello,
how
Mario.
to work.
Yeah, Mario can come,
yeah,
absolutely, he's a sweet man, but
Mario,
you, anything for a free lunch, you.
Well, I have to, the deal was that I bring him. So, yeah, I have to stay for lunch too. Yeah.
All right.
But I'm going to be serving, Susie. I'm going to volunteer
Okay,
to
good.
serve. All right, but I
Yes, I
just
need
want you to know that.
Let's read those.
Okay. All right, so Harvest Fest. Our Harvest Fest was scheduled for this past Sunday, but as you all know, we got about 3 inches of rain and winds, and it was a mess on Sunday. So they rescheduled it to, this is our Carmel Parks and Recreation Department, rescheduled it to this Sunday, November 5th. So the children are going to have to put their costumes back on again and come over to Sycamore Park this Sunday, November 5th, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. to Town of Carmel Recreation and Parks. Harvest Fest, the bounce houses will be there. Good thing they weren't there on Sunday, they would have been blowing around. Pony rides, petting zoo, vendors, DJ games, photo booth. Trick-or-treat parade starts at 2 p.m. sharp. So bring your children over in their costumes for the trick-or-treat parade at 2 p.m. and more. Bring the whole family for a fun-filled day, and be sure to wear your costumes. For information on being a vendor, it's $20 per table, or volunteering at the event, or for more details, please call the office at 628-7888. Like us on Facebook at Carmel Recreation.
Yeah, and again, the event is free, but if you want to be a vendor,
Yeah,
then it's a $20 if you want to be a vendor. But if you want to just come and be a patron, that's free of charge.
Good, great, thanks, John. You want to read that one?
Sure. We have the Carmel Town Hall offices will be closed Friday, November 10th, 2017, in observations of Veterans Day. Offices will reopen on Monday, November 13th, 2017, at 8 a.m. So November 10th, The town hall and all of the Town of Carmel offices will be closed on November 10th. That's a Friday.
Right, thanks, John. And one final announcement that I have is next Wednesday, November 8th, is the public hearing, and I've been announcing this for the past month or so, public hearing on the town budget for 2018. So if you want to come out and address the board and attend the public hearing, this is your money, taxpayers. So if you want to come out and listen and comment on the spending for next year, next Wednesday, November 8th at 7 p.m. right here at Carmel Town Hall. And also the Fire Protection District contracts, the budgets for the fire departments will be, their public hearing will be next Wednesday, November 8th also. So 2 public hearings that are important. It's your money. Come out and tell us what you think about it. And it's your chance to speak about what we're spending your money on for 2018. All right, so we have executive session.
One more thing.
Yep.
We're continuing with the Thanksgiving food drive in conjunction with the Mapac Middle School. We do have the box here in Town Hall. If you wanted to and you're closer to the middle school, you can drop off supplies there as well. But we have the box here. And we'll be dropping. Yeah, it's filling up good. So there are people in need. We continue to do it every year, and it's one of the nice things that we do.
Great, thanks, Frank. And thank you for doing that over the years. All right, so we have executive session. Rich Franzetti, PE Town Engineer. This is a personnel matter, and Edie McCarthy is meeting with the board on a contractual matter for the cyclical assessments that the assessor's office is required to do as part of the townwide reval. Each year, they do the cyclical assessments to keep up with the rolls. So Edie McCarthy will be discussing her contract and what she will be providing to the town in executive session with the town board. So next week, next Wednesday, November 8th, town board meeting, 2 big public hearings. Be here for that. I need a motion to go into executive. So moved.
Seconded.
So moved by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci, Councilman McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone. We're closing from executive session. Be well. See you next week.